Hello children, it's me, Mr Splendid. Today I'm going to show you a trick called the Professor's Nightmare. I like to think it's called that because no matter how clever you are and no matter how much you know, every single person you meet knows something you don't. So remember children, you learn with your ears and your eyes, not with your mouth. So for this trick we need 3 pieces of rope. 1 small piece, 1 middle-sized piece, and 1 great big long piece. And I take them all in this hand. And because they're 3 pieces of rope, and they both got 2 ends, that makes 6 ends in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we take all 6 ends to the top. The small rope, the middle-sized rope, and the long rope. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all at the top. Right, so now we say the magic words. Are you ready? Sprinkle, blinkle, twinkle. And we take 3 ends in this hand, 1, 2, 3, 3 ends in this hand, and give a tug. And now look, they're all the same size. The Professor's Nightmare. Of course, if you'd rather they were different sizes, just take them back up, give them a tug, and they're back the way they were. Wonderful. Do you know something? I think I prefer them different. Well, you would. Oh, children, it's Coco. Hello, Coco. So, what makes you say that, Coco? Well, you are odd. I'm not that odd, am I, children? Look at your hair. I quite like my hair, actually. Shiny red hooter. Oh, my nose might be red, but it's certainly not a hooter. Silly grin. Now then, my grin is not silly. I rather like my smile. Anyway, Coco, enough of this. I think difference is good. Can you imagine, children, if everything was the same? Every flower was the same, every tree was the same, every cat, every dog. Yes, exactly, every bird. Oh, what a dull world that would be. Yeah, indeed, Coco. But you know, there are some people, Coco, that are afraid of things that look different. Yeah, oh yes. Do you know, actually, I know a story about some people that were frightened of difference until they realised how useful difference could be. Would you like to hear it? Oh, I'll take that as a yes then. Okay, children, well here's the story. Mr Beecher, the creature teacher. Oh, yeah.
I'm a friend of the many-legged oblitot, and the buck-toothed bear visits a lot. I get birthday cards from the venomous leecher, because I'm Mr. Beecher, the creature teacher. My story begins in the usual way, a class full of children on a warm summer's day. The children that day were taking a test, so the teacher, that's me, was having a rest. I sat at the front as quiet as can be, thinking about what I'd like for my tea. I finally decided on sausage and mash, when the whole classroom shook with a terrible crash. The door came off with a dreadful boom. Bricks and wood fell into the room, and into the class came a hulking great beast. He stood 3 meters tall, no, 5 meters at least. His fur was bright blue, his eyes burning red. He had spikes on his tail and horns on his head. His black claws were long, his white teeth were longer. No creature had ever been born that was stronger. But I don't like interruptions, not in the least. So in spite of his size, I turned to the beast. What do you mean, bursting into my class? These children have an exam to pass. What would he do now, this terrible creature? What would he do to the poor little teacher? He could squash me flat, if I'm not mistaken, or his hot fiery breath could fry me like bacon. One clout from his tail, and I'd be in the garden. But he just bowed politely and said, I beg your pardon. I am, he said, a many-legged obligate. But I'd like to know how many I've got. How many, said I, of what? How many of what have you got? Legs, said the many-legged obligate. I'd like to know how many legs I have got. Count them, I said. That way is best. Now please let the children finish their test. But I can't, said the beast. Don't think me a fool, but we didn't learn counting in monster school. We learned how to roar, and we learned how to fight, and we learned the best way to scare children at night. That's why I've come here, to look for a teacher. So will you teach me? Pleaded the creature. What could I say? What could I do? I started with 1 and followed with 2. So I taught the beast to count up to 10. But the very next day he came back again. He was accompanied by an oddly shaped bee-boss, who was desperate to learn which shape he was, plus a venomous leecher and a back-winged gite. Neither one could read or write. So after a while it came to pass I only taught monsters in my class. I taught the almost toothless Grampy Gums the joy of long division sums, and showed the green-furred octoped that he wasn't green at all, but red. The hardest job I ever had was explaining to the angry dad of a giant towering leggy tall that he actually was rather small. But I taught them all, big and small, horned and spotted, striped and dotted, with spiky tails or shiny scales. Whether their mouths growl or burn, they all need to learn. But not everyone was quite so happy to share their school with a bug-eyed snappy, or have the children eat their lunch sitting next to a worm-eating grunch. So when a fire hog had a cough and burnt a blonde girl's hair right off, the angry parents said, No, no, your monsters will just have to go. But so as not to lose my friends, I taught the creatures at weekends. One Saturday at 2 o'clock, we were interrupted by a knock. Outside the class stood a worried mother. The monsters looked at one another. She said, My lilies are so wood. Your monsters help me search the woods. Into the air flew the dragon-faced Ned, with a big-eyed Opti on his head. We watched them circling in the air, then heard the Opti cry, She's there! And Ned said, Lily's up a tree, but the branches are too thick for me. So to mark our spot, I'll fly around. You try to reach her from the ground. Leave this to me, said the buck-toothed bear, who was easily the tallest there. But even this enormous creature stood on tiptoes, couldn't reach her. We laughed when the imp-toad said, I'll try. The imp-toad was hardly a metre high. I may be small, she said, and young, but don't forget my very long tongue. She puffed her cheeks, and with a pop, up shot her tongue to the treetop. Then she pulled her tongue, and the tree bent double. So now it wasn't any trouble for the bear to lift poor Lily down and carry her gently back to town. Soon everyone from all around learned how Lily had been found, and her grateful mother cooked a feast and invited every man and beast. After we'd eaten, up stood the bear. I'm sorry, he said, but we've not been fair. How silly were we to make a fuss, just because you're different to us. So now I'm going to make a rule that creatures will always share our school. The whole crowd cheered with great delight, and then we danced into the night. So now we live in harmony, the children, the creatures, and their teacher, me.
Wow. Did you like that, Coco? Yeah. And me. Well, children, I hope you enjoyed the story, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Say goodnight, Coco. Good night, Coco. Good night, children.